everyone. So when my husband and I got married, we promised that every year we would go one new place. And it was really important to me because I didn't get to travel growing up and I really wanted to see the world. So because of that, we went to places that maybe not a lot of people go to. So for our honeymoon, we went to Peru. Last year we went to Nicaragua, and the year before Colombia. And during our trips, we had what you would maybe call misadventures, things that didn't really go as planned. And a trip that really epitomizes a misadventure is our trip to Guatemala. So it didn't start off great. We missed a connecting flight. We didn't really get any sleep. We hadn't eaten, and then we hiked to Call in just the pouring rain. And then we got some food for the first time in like 24 hours, and I had the best beans I've ever tasted in my life. I swear, they tasted like magic, but it wasn't until a few hours later when my head was in the toilet that I realized magic beans aren't vegetarian. So the next morning we were ready for an adventure, but I was a little tired and a little wary, but we said, we're gonna do it. So we were going into a lesser known Guatemalan ruin called Yasha. And it was just my husband and I and our guide. So it was really cool, it was really intimate. We were the only ones in this vast forest. And we're walking, and my husband looks down at my shoes, and I'm wearing flip-flops, and he says, "Honey, really? Flip-flops?" Now, I swear to you, if I die first, my husband will put 2 words on my gravestone: appropriate footwear. So we're walking through the jungle, and yes, I have my flip-flops, but into my defense, I had on regular shoes the day before, and I had blisters on the back of my feet from the rain, and give a girl a break. So we're walking through the woods, and out of the earth is just this huge green mound, and at the top is a temple that had just started to be uncovered by an archaeologist. And the tour guide says, "Do you want to go up?" And I look, and there's steps and steps and steps and like 150 steps to the top. And my first gut reaction is, no, I don't want to go to the top. But my husband looks at me, and we're like, okay, when are we going to be in Guatemala again? We should just go. So we trudged to the top, and you know what? We got there, and it was beautiful. You could see out over the green and the jungle, and you could hear the howler monkeys serenading us in the background. It was like, this is what travel is about, these moments. So it started to rain a little bit, and we decided that we should go down, and I said to my husband, I said, well, how about you go first? I said this jokingly. How about you go first, so if I slip and fall, you can catch me? Well, I did slip and fall, and he didn't catch me. So I went down on my side 6 or 7 or 8 stairs, and I'm lying there in shock, and I pull my head up, and I start to look and scan my body because there's a lot of pain radiating from somewhere, and I don't know where it is. And I look, and I have a big bruise on my thigh and a cut on my knee, and I keep scanning my body, and at my ankle, where my ankle should be, someone has placed a grapefruit, but it's not a grapefruit, it's my ankle. So after my husband copiously threw Advil after Advil into my mouth, I stood up, and I realized we still have like 150 steps to go to the bottom. So I took a breath, and I took step 149 and 148, and my whole body is just full of tension and anxiety. If 147, 146, my husband's in front of me, and he's walking backwards to make sure I don't fall. Again, 145, 144, I'm gripping onto the sides of the railing, and I realize the monkeys who had serenaded us so beautifully had also shit all over the stairs. So 143, 142, my hands sliding through monkey feces, we slowly descend to the bottom. And I get there and go and lean against a tree for a minute while my husband goes to tell the tour guide what happened and get help. And I'm leaning there, and men just start coming out of the forest, and they're surrounding me, and they're pointing at me and then my ankle, and then my flip-flops. And even though I don't speak Spanish, I'm pretty sure they were saying appropriate footwear. So after a while, I heard the truck come through the jungle, and I look up for my husband, expecting him to be right there on my side, ready to take my arm and lead me hobbling over to the truck, but he's not there. He's with the truck, and he's there, and he's caressing it and touching it like a lover on their first morning together, and I'm like, hello? So he comes back and he helps me to the truck, and we get in, and he gets in the back like a boy on Christmas morning, and we drive through the Guatemalan jungle. And at this point, I'm starting to freak out a little bit because we are hundreds and hundreds of miles from the closest hospital. We are in this little town, and I just don't think I'm going to get very far on this ankle, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. So we're driving, and we pull up in front of all of these huts. And I don't know why we're there, but the tour guide gets me out, and he says, don't worry, there's somebody here who knows about these things. It wasn't until they were leading me into the hut with the dirt floor that I realized that these things are setting bones in the Guatemalan jungle. So I'm led in, and I'm sat on this little stool, and there's a man in there with a Google page opening, and I'm just hoping to God he's not Googling how to set my ankle. And after a while, he comes and he sits and he puts my ankle up on his lap, and then, and this is where I knew I was probably in trouble, he pulled out some Icy Hot. That was all he had. So he's rubbing the Icy Hot on my ankle, and I want to look away, but it's like watching a car as it is about to careen over a cliff. You can't, and he's manipulating it and moving it, and all of a sudden, my ankle pops back in, and instead of a grapefruit, it kind of looks like a tennis ball. And at this point, I feel like I'm going to pass out, so I lay on the floor, and I close my eyes, and in the background, I hear a conversation happening between my husband and the tour guide. And the tour guide says, you should probably give him a little bit of money. And my husband's like, well, how much is appropriate in a situation like this? And the tour guide says, well, I don't know. This has never happened before. And he says, maybe 50 quetzales? And my husband said, reaches in the pocket, well, all I have is 100. And the tour guide's like, I don't think he's going to have change for you. My husband said, it's fine, really. So as I'm laying on the floor and my ankle is swelling and turning purple, and I'm thinking about all of our misadventures from the past and all of the adventures that we're going to have in the future, I think, 100 quetzales might be the best $12 we ever spent. Thank you.